Welcome, everyone. So, whether you're joining us live or watching the recording, we're glad that you joined us to learn more about the wonderful journeys that await you with Avalon Waterways. We are Suzanne and Steve Clausen. We are owners of CruiseOne in Show Low, Arizona. So I'm going to give you a little bit of our itinerary. We're going to zip through everything. So if there's something you want more information about after the presentation, I'm glad to either do a phone call or even a Zoom session just with you to go over the segment that you want more details. We're going to introduce our agency. We're going
If
to
you want
introduce
to, if you do want
Avalon
to ask a
Waterways.
specific question during the presentation, you'll have to unmute yourself, but go ahead and do that and ask away.
Thank you. Thank you. And so continue with the itinerary. We're going to have our overview of our 5 featured itineraries. Then Debbie is going to share with us a little bit about why Avalon is the best river cruise experience. And then we're going to have some exclusive promotions and pricing for all 5 itineraries. And then hopefully we'll have enough time before the end of the hour for some questions and answers. So if you're new to my agency or maybe found us just through our advertising or referrals by a friend, I want you to get to know me. I build relationships with my customers. I want to talk to my customers about their plans and their dreams, build strong relationships. My business is made up of a lot of repeats and referrals, and clients are never a transaction to me. And this is the best part about this job is people who I consider some of my closest friends or clients who have cruised on one or more of our group cruises with us. Steve and I are avid travelers ourselves, and we are so lucky to be travel agents in this day and age because with the internet is now so good on cruise ships that we are able to run our business from anywhere in the world. We consider that travel an investment in our business and in our clients. We use that firsthand experience we have with being travelers ourselves to deliver exceptional vacation experiences to our clients. This is our 11th year in business, and just some highlights. In 2019, I received the Opal Award for Community Involvement and Sales Leadership. 2020 and 2021, I used my downtime to earn my Master Cruise Counselor. In 2023, we finished in the top 2% of all CruiseOne and Dream Vacations franchises across the country. And in 2023, I earned my Elite Cruise Counselor certification from the Cruise Line International Association. I have been cruising for 48 years. This is my very first cruise in 1975 when I was 8 years old. My dad was in sales, and if he had a good year, he would splurge and take the whole family on a cruise. I'm also an Avalon Waterways certified specialist, and I'm also certified in their 2 land-based brands, Globus and Cosmos. So now I want to take a minute to introduce Debbie Horolino. She is my right hand woman at Avalon Waterways. She and I work together to make sure that we are always taking extra special care of all my clients. So, Debbie, you want to say hello and introduce yourself real quick?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Suzanne, thank you. Suzanne and Steve, thank you so much for having me on today. And everyone, hopefully you're looking at my beautiful photo that Suzanne picked for me today, and you can't see what I look like right now. But I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and to go kind of through what Suzanne and Steve do, all of their great itineraries that they're going to be on this year, and share with you more about Avalon Waterways.
One of the reasons I love working with Debbie is because she is such a strong supporter of my business. And along with the whole Avalon brand, it's a quality product. I want to deliver personalized vacations to my clients, and I want to work with strategic, high quality partners like Avalon who are going to provide memorable, meaningful quality vacations for my clients.
Yes, and with Avalon Waterways, I love this slide. We really focus on intimate experiences. We've got innovative ships. We've been doing European cruises for over 12 years now, but we're a part of a company that's been around for 96 years. So we've been doing this for a long time now. And if you're not very familiar with Avalon Waterways, for those of you who are new to Suzanne and Steve, We are an award-winning, top-rated river cruise line. You know, we've won awards like USA Today's Best Reader's Choice Award for Best Ships and Best European River Itineraries as well. So we're still holding those titles from 2023, and we hope that we're going to hold those titles in 2024 as well.
Well, one of the things I like about Avalon Waterways is how inclusive it is. And Debbie, if you could just highlight a couple of the inclusions that maybe people don't realize you get on a river cruise.
Yeah, absolutely. So, river cruise with Avalon Waterways specifically, you're going to get your meals every day. There's complimentary wine, beers, and all of your drinks during all of your meal times. But one of my favorite inclusions, which really adds to the value of being on Avalon, is the included excursions that you get. And I know that we're going to talk a lot about that during our presentation today.
Well, good. Okay, now we're going to go to a little video, and it is star of The Hobbit, Outlander, and House of Dragons, Graham McTavish, and he's going to tell us a little bit more.
There may
about
be
Avalon.
comfort in the usual, but true discovery and remarkable experiences are the rewards for the curious. They are the gifts that reside beyond the ordinary. Welcome aboard Avalon. Smaller ships, bigger experiences, fewer people, more of everything, right at your fingertips. And you wake up in the best staterooms in the business, to a new port every day, right in the heart of great cities, with nothing but possibilities ahead. Driven by out-of-the-box thinking and a relentless pursuit of better, Avalon heard the siren song to elevate cruising, and they have. So if you believe that life is worth living, not looking, memories are worth making, that better stories need better settings, and that we could all use a little different, you're ready for an Avalon cruise. Cruising Elevated.
Skipped ahead too far. Well, if you are a fan of Graham McTavish like me, I'm still trying to talk my husband into taking me on this cruise, but I think we have a schedule conflict. But he is actually going to be on one of the ships doing a lecture on his books. He has some books about being a Scotsman while filming Outlander and filming some other movies in New Zealand. And he has a collection of Scottish stories. And he's going to be hosting an 8-night river cruise to from Basel to Amsterdam. Well, he will be the author host in residence in the Storyteller series October 12th, 2024. So if that's something you're interested in, I can book that for you too. So now that you know a little bit about Avalon, we are going to zip through our 5 featured itineraries. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Avalon experience, but we want to get into the itineraries right away because that I hear is what most people come to learn about. So the first elevated cruising experience that we're going to have is the Douro. And that experience starts with the ship. They have a brand new Avalon Alegria ship, only 120 passengers. And we'll have more about the suite ships a little bit later in the presentation, but we wanted to introduce you to the extraordinary destination first. Our group sailing has only a handful of cabins left, but if the June date doesn't work for you, you can also experience this itinerary on any of their weekly departures throughout even November 24 and into 25. So let's dive into the Douro itinerary. It's going to be June 12th through the 19th, round trip from Porto, Portugal. We are also doing the 3-day extension in Lisbon. I feel like Lisbon is such an important part of Portugal. We want to see that too. So we will be on board as your travel hosts. Steve and I will be escorting that particular cruise. This is the first year that Avalon has done the Douro, but it's not their first time in the destination. Of course, the parent company Globus Tours just celebrated over 95 years in the tour business, and they are experts at giving you that immersive art, architecture, and wine experience. And of course, people know Porto for the wine that bears its name, port. But they also don't know that maybe not that there are many, many table wines, just regular wines, not fortified wines that come from this region that are exquisite. So we are doing the pre-cruise optional extension in Lisbon, And Debbie's going to share a little bit of the highlights for that.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. So if you've never been to Portugal before, and this is going to be your first time, I highly suggest that you do the 3-day tour in Lisbon, and that you join Suzanne and Steve for that. Lisbon's absolutely amazing. So let's just go through the day to day here. So the first day is always just going to be arrival day. I'm going to come in, get picked up at the airport, taken to the hotel, and then you have the rest of the night for free time. And then on day 2, and I also forgot, on day 1, you actually meet your cruise director as well. So our cruise director that is going to be sailing with us and taking care of us on the actual ship will be there and traveling with you during the pre-extension as well. So on day 2, you'll have a guided tour of Lisbon, including the Belém Tower, the monument to the discoveries. And again, if you've never been to Portugal before, you're going to see all the different types of influences that went around in this beautiful destination. And then later on throughout on day 3, you have an included excursion. You either go or you're going to, the National Palace of Monfra, including the Royal Palace, and then the rest of the day kind of on your own. And then on day 4, this is where we have a transfer to the ship with an included tour to Coimbra. And my Portuguese is not great. So if anyone on here speaks Portuguese, I'm sorry. I know that I'm not saying this correctly, but Coimbra is great. It's a fantastic little city in Portugal. Great food here as well. Most times when I've had clients come or go to Coimbra and come back, they kind of say that it feels like very quaint. Portugal itself is kind of like this hidden gem of a destination. And then you find these other kind of hidden gems within the hidden gem, right? So this is definitely one of those places.
Well, for the guests that will be doing cruise only, and that's it's a perfectly valid option. It's based, especially if you've already been to Lisbon, you will fly into Porto, and you can get to Porto from many major airports in Europe. London has flights directly from London to Porto, and I believe there's also some from Madrid directly to Porto. So not too hard to get there, and we're going to all aboard there. We will dock overnight in Porto, and then the next day we'll set out. So this picture, I know this is kind of an eye chart, but I just wanted to show you how comprehensive the tours are. We're going to talk a little bit more about the difference between the classic and discovery tours. The discovery tours tend to be more experiential and off the beaten path, and the classic tours are the city highlights, the things that if you've never been to this destination before, these are your must-dos. So this just shows you a little bit of that. Here's some of the beautiful architecture that you will see and gardening. I mean, this is why Portugal is such a hidden gem. We're going to keep going quickly. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of this city, but again, you see you have a choice of the classic or discovery tours, and there's also free time included as well. On the discovery tour, you're going to do wine and olive oil tasting, and then on the classic tour, again, it's architecture. It's going to be beautiful houses, tastings of food and sparkling wine. So really, you're going to get that immersive experience from Avalon Waterways that you wouldn't get traveling any other way. Day 4, you have a chance to see some history, ancient history. I mean, even prehistoric history. And then you also can do some wine tasting. So here's a look at that destination where Poquino. I don't speak Portuguese. I will learn it, I would think, on the trip. But again, wonderful things to see, rock paintings, wine tasting again. And then if you want to go out to this village, they have over 100 different grape varietals that are grown in this area. So you can imagine the different kinds of blends and wonderful wines that they have. Debbie's going to talk a little bit about day 5's excursion to Salamanca.
Yes, and Salamanca is, if you've never heard of this place before, which most people don't, it's an absolutely beautiful city. This is a really special city because back in 1988, the old city of Salamanca was actually declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. So you're going to see amazing streets here. I mean, if you're really into architecture, Portugal is going to be your place you're going to want to go. Suzanne's going to talk about like the different influences that we see around here, but amazing streets here. You can also maybe do a bike ride around Salamanca if that's kind of your thing and you want to do it. Nothing like biking in Amsterdam, by the way. So very safe and very Sandy's like, oh God, yes. No, I would never want to do that. I would never think of doing that. But incredible place. Again, one of these hidden gems that's in this incredible destination.
Yeah. And the coach will take you from the cruise ship, take you right across the border into Spain, where you get to see the beautiful country of Salamanca. Now, if you don't want to do that, maybe nature and wildlife and scenery is more your thing. You have a choice of doing this one, which is in this national park that's right on the border of Spain and Portugal. So then we're moving on to day 6. Again, you have a classic tour. And note that you have some free time in the evening to explore on your own. So that's the wonderful thing about river cruising, is that you get your guided tour, but you also get to, to explore the destination at your own pace as well. So it's not like you always have to be following the leader. You can do your own thing, which is really great. Again, beautiful city. Again, architecture, the sights of the river, just so many different things to see in this part of the world and experience the food, the taste, the wine. And another thing, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but Avalon is really good about bringing the local food and wine right on board the ship. So you will get to have some of the local specialties while you're sailing through the destination. Day 7 is your last full day of the cruise. It is a full day tour of Porto. So if you want to do the active tour, you can take a bike ride, but you could also do the classic tour, which is going to see all the World Heritage sites, as well as the modern graffiti art that is all over the town. So you get to see a little bit of the old and the new. Again, beautiful historic Portugal. Uh, and now we're going to go right over here to show you a little bit of the ship. So this is the Alegria. Remember, only 120 passengers. And we'll talk a little bit about the rooms, but note that the beds face the window, which is really nice. So here's our pricing. This is what we have left in this group. It is mostly sold out. I think you cannot book this direct with Avalon anymore. I think the only thing you can book there is a category E.
Mhm.
Very limited availability, but we have 2 of the category P suites and 1 of the category A suites. And this is because we're holding them in our group, so I'm still able to sell them even though the ship is sold out. Again, we have free prepaid gratuities for all of our guests in our group. Steve and I will be on there as your travel host. We plan to buy wine like we did in France and have a little toasting party with some local wine as we're sailing through a beautiful valley one day. So it should be a really, really nice experience. Okay, now on to our next destination. Again, we have to keep zipping through this. So in September, Steve and I will be hosting what we're calling Castles, Vineyards, and Brews. It's an active and discovery tour. So it has a traditional tour that are on regular itineraries, but it also has additional included tours that emphasize either the outdoor experience for the active or the discovery experience like food and wine. So there's more opportunities to experience the destination through food and wine. I would actually say that Porto is kind of a discovery cruise on every cruise. The Moselle, it's just this particular sailing that is featured that way. So again, Steve and I will be your travel hosts on this cruise. The cruise starts on September 18th um, in, uh, let me see if it starts in Luxembourg and then goes to Frankfurt. So let's kind of go through the itinerary really quickly. The ship
Rhine.
docks in Rimick, Luxembourg, which is just outside of Luxembourg City. So you overnight on the ship. The second day, you have a choice of a tour that goes into Luxembourg City. You can also hike the vineyards in the local area, and you can even do an excursion to Schengen. And the evening, the ship is going to go to Trier, and Trier is the oldest city in Germany. Um, but not to be outdone by Luxembourg City. Luxembourg City also has walls that were built during the Roman times. So both of these destinations date back to the Roman Empire. And the day 3, you're going to visit the beautiful Bernkastel Kues town. This is a wonderful wine growing region, and we will get a guided hike up to the ruined castle where you can see the views are just absolutely spectacular. You're also going to be able to see the town, which of course has that fabulous half timber architecture, which is such a lovely thing to see in many places in Europe. The cruise goes on to Cochem, Germany. And this is one of the places Steve and I are excited about because we know that there is a place there called the Classen Hotel Garni. Now, is this little inn and restaurant possibly owned or maybe founded by our relatives? We don't know, but we're going to go in, say, hey, we're the Classens. Do we get a free beer? I don't know. No, we're going to stop by it and at least take pictures. But that is in addition to the wonderful things that the ship has in store for us. The Reichsberg Castle was an old castle that kind of was in ruins, and then it was restored in 1868 in the Gothic revival style. It has been under the care of the town and is one of the town's main tourist attractions since 1978. Day 5, we are going to go to Koblenz, and you have a choice of lots of different opportunities to do here. You can do a guided walking tour, you can do a beer tour. The active excursion is a guided hike. And this is going to be a wonderful area to discover wines because the wine growing region in this area dates again back to the time of the Romans. So 2,000 years of winemaking history. Day 6, we're going to go to Rudesheim. And this is a chance if you are into history and music, you can go visit the um, mechanical instrument museum, or you can take one of the gondola rides through the vineyards and try some of this region's famous Pinot Noir. It's said to be softer and more velvety than the varietals that are grown in France. So it'll be interesting to try because we know that the climate and the terroir affect the characteristics of the wine and the grapes and the wine that they produce. Day 7, we have a full day in Frankfurt. So Frankfurt is a combination of old and new. They have the old downtown, which I remember from when I went to Frankfurt 35 years ago or whenever it was. It was a long time ago. They said that the old downtown was pretty much destroyed during World War II, but they lovingly rebuilt it to make it look like it used to. And then, of course, they have the modern city, which is going to be outside of the old town. There's botanical gardens there. There's even an optional excursion. And those, when you hear the word optional, that means there's usually a little charge, but you could go to Bad Nauheim, which is where Elvis was stationed. There's a salt spring spa there, and I believe General Patton was also stationed there. So day 8, you disembark in Frankfurt and you're able to fly home from the major Frankfurt airport. There are lots of non-stops to US cities from Frankfurt. So another great advantage of this cruise ending in Frankfurt. So now let's look at the pricing. This is our exclusive group pricing. There is a savings up to $740 per person off the current rates that are available if you were to go to Avalon and book this direct. There's also a 2-night free cruise extension in Paris. A lot of us that went to France did the 2 nights in Paris when we were there in October. We loved it. Avalon was a great host for us, our 2 days in Paris. And again, all the cabin categories are still available for this sailing. Just a few in each one, but every category is available. Now we're going to talk about the Danube. So in 2021 and 2022, Steve and I did 2 different Danube cruise experiences, and they were so spectacular. We love the food, the wine, the history, the landscapes. So we put together 2 promotional dates on these itineraries to offer you extraordinary value, a discounted price on these itineraries. So let's look at the first one. It's the Upper Danube, which is the one we did in 2021. This goes from Budapest to Dagendorf. And Debbie is going to talk to us a little bit about Budapest because I know it's one of her favorite cities.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite cities, one of my favorite Avalon Waterways itineraries as well. But Budapest is one of my all-time favorite cities to go to. Beautiful photo here of the paprika at the Central Market. There's so much to do in Budapest. I'm sure Suzanne and Steve can help you find some different things to do there. Walk around, take a look at all the different architecture. I would say that it's worth coming in at least a night or two before the cruise starts. That way you can kind of see the Buda side, the Pest side as well, which you guys will learn about. But amazing history here. Again, the architecture is my favorite. And the food is amazing. I'm not a huge wine drinker, unfortunately, but I know it's fantastic. But they've got really great pairings of things like ostrich crackling, amazing cheeses. The Danishes from Budapest are incredible as well. And that, you've got Suzanne and Steve here who are experts at wine, and they can show you all the undiscovered Hungarian wines in Budapest as well.
Yeah, so when we came down there, we came in one day early. We did a little exploring on our own, found a place that was a wine tasting like restaurant where we did wine tasting with some friends, and we ordered charcuterie, and that was dinner. That was our dinner, wine and charcuterie. It was great. We had a wonderful time. There's so many interesting things in Budapest, like this wonderful thermal spa that looks like it's built into the middle of a palace. It's gorgeous. So Budapest was actually in 2019 voted Europe's best city for visitors. So wonderful place to visit. So if you do come in just on the day of arrival, you do get a full day in Budapest, and you overnight in Budapest. So you get a tour, and then that evening you leave and sail by the Parliament building like we're doing here. Sometimes it's dark and you can see it at night. If you really want to see it at night, there's a Hilton Hotel right across the river from this. That's where I would book you. You can eat at the restaurant there and see the Parliament all lit up at night. Absolutely beautiful. Uh, the cruise goes on down the river. Its first stop is the beautiful imperial city of Bratislava. Debbie, do you want to talk a little bit about Bratislava?
Yeah, cute little town. You can pretty much walk all of it within the time that we're there on the ship. You'll walk around, and I would hope that you take our guided tour that Avalon includes, because you'll learn about that guy that's sticking out from the sewer right there and what his significance is. But he's a construction worker. And there's a great story to that, and him, little jokes of him looking up people's skirts and all that. So, but wonderful, wonderful place, Bratislava. And, beautiful churches here. You can do this on your own, but we do have another excursion that's offered during the afternoon, where you can actually hike up to that. It's not a church, is it, Suzanne? It's the
palace. It's
the
an
palace.
imperial
Yes.
palace that's up on top of the hill. Wonderful gardens and everything. I think. Let me go back one slide. That's where I was when I took that picture.
Yeah.
Was up on top of that castle. So amazing, amazing views. Plenty of free time. I mean, you could eat in town. You could come back to the ship and eat. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to have local food, because they always have the local food on board Avalon.
Yeah.
So after Bratislava, you head down the river to Vienna. And of course, Vienna is one of the most famous cities in Austria. These pictures I have don't even do it justice. I could probably have put 15 different pictures on this slide from my trip there, and it wouldn't even begin to cover what we saw in Vienna. One of the nice things I like about what Avalon does is they dock. It's a little bit away from the old part of the city, because the river doesn't quite touch there. It docks there. They give you a bus. You can take the tour into town, and then they take you back to the ship for lunch. Well, this area here where you see this Ferris wheel, and the ship is actually docked right by this church here. So we walked through this neighborhood and went and got on the Ferris wheel, the boxcar Ferris wheel, so we had this panoramic view of Vienna and we could see the old and the new that made up Vienna. It was a wonderful stay. And one of the things that Avalon offers is we had a late night departure from Vienna. So there were some folks who chose to do the optional classical concert in Vienna. If that's something you always wanted to hear is Mozart or Beethoven played in Vienna, it's a wonderful thing to do, especially if you're into classical music. So our next stop might be my favorite on this itinerary. We hiked up the Dürnstein Castle and we learned all the stories about Richard the Lionhearted and his minstrel Blondel, who was going castle to castle looking for his master and singing this song that only his master knew the words. The view from that hike made it worth it. Steve and I are no athletes and we made it up the hill just fine, and it was definitely worth the view. Between that hike in the morning, so you can visit Dürnstein in the morning and the Melk Abbey in the afternoon. You have a beautiful afternoon of scenic sailing. You sail right by the city of Melk, I mean, city of Dürnstein onto Melk, and they take you on a tour when you arrive there of the Melk Abbey. Now, they don't allow you to take pictures inside the Melk Abbey. So these are postcards that I purchased there that I just scanned and put them in this presentation. Really amazing, amazing place. They just don't want pictures because they're afraid that people won't turn off their flash and it'll fade things. So, um, Linz, Austria. So this is a wonderful little city from which you can take two very interesting optional tours. So one of them is the tour to Salzburg, and the other one is the tour if you're into history and you want to have kind of a solemn visit, you can visit the Mauthausen concentration camp. And people from our cruise did both. We chose to do the tour of Linz itself, which again is a wonderful Baroque city. We also did some exploring on our own and found this wonderful vista. It was a little fortress on top of the hill from which we took this beautiful picture. The cruise ends up in Passau, Germany. This is at the confluence of three rivers, so it's an amazing place to take pictures. We enjoyed a wonderful walking tour. We saw things like the Rathaus, the cathedral with the world's largest pipe organ, and then in the afternoon, the activities director led a hike up to the top of this castle on this hill where you could see the other side of you could see the entire city of Passau. Now the cruise ends the next day in Deggendorf, and then you can either transfer to Munich for your flight home or you can extend your stay for 2 nights in Prague. And Debbie, can you share a little bit about Prague with us?
Yes, Suzanne, thank you. So Prague is a must do when you're in this area. So it's great that Suzanne and Steve are going there. It's about, I think it's about an hour and a half or a 2 hour drive from where we are in Deggendorf. So it's a great scenic drive. Again, your cruise director, in addition to Suzanne and Steve, will go to Prague with you.
Well, let me
And
just
where you'll
clarify, Debbie, that this is not one that Steve and I are escorting because we did this one in 21. This is one that we just have group savings on. I know, we're
Yeah.
wonderful to travel with, but you'll
Yes.
have your cruise director with you.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting confused with all of the ones that Suzanne and Steve are escorting this year. But your cruise director will be with you, and it's a fantastic place. Like I said, Prague is a must do and a must see when you go here. So you don't want to miss it at all.
So pricing for the 7-night Danube Dreams. There you get an idea of the pricing. I'll review them later. This represents about a $740 per person savings over the current promotion booking through Avalon Direct. So now we're moving on to the other Danube one, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm going quickly, and I'm running over time, so I'm going to go very quickly through this. 8,000 years of human history, Belgrade to Bucharest. So you start in Belgrade, Serbia, where they have this beautiful 20th century masterpiece, the Santa Sava Cathedral. You'll also in Belgrade see the fortress. You'll see the Roman ruins that are there, a lot of history there. The next day, you wake up to this beautiful Gulabak fortress where you pull right over on the side of the river and get to take a guided tour of this fortress and get to climb up in many different parts of it. It's been beautifully restored. Uh, then this was one of the places that I found the most interesting. You visit Lipinski Vir, which is an 8,000, at least 8,000-year-old permanent human settlement in Europe. And it is fascinating to learn how this civilization lasted for 4,000 years in basically the same place. Uh, we're going to do sailing through the, or you're going to do sailing through the Iron Gates. These are our pictures. We actually had a little bit of a delay due to the Serbian border patrol. So we went through it at night. We weren't sure what to expect, but it actually turned out to be a lovely treat to go through at night. The ship is scheduled to go through it during the day where you see all these things in full daylight instead of this additional mood lighting, I guess we call it. But it was fantastic either way, I'm sure. Once you get to Bulgaria, I didn't know I wanted to go to Bulgaria. I am so glad I went to Bulgaria. This is one of the places, Belgrade Fortress. It dates back to the Roman Empire. You get a chance to explore all over there. The next port is the port of Rus, but they give you a full day tour to Arbanasi and Veliko Tarnova. Those are included tours. You also, if you wanted to just take the tour of Rus and not have the 8-hour tour all day, you can do that as well. Finally, this cruise ends up in Constanta, Romania, where you take a bus, take a full tour of Constanta, which is really a confluence of cultures. This is a Roman mosaic floor from an old marketplace, an ancient Greek statue. There is history from the different influences, the Ottoman, the all the different civilizations that have been in this part of the world, and new restorations like the casino, which is supposed to open this year. It'll be newly restored. It's one of the most iconic buildings of Constanta. And then if you are not doing the extension, you do get a full day in Bucharest and overnight and then fly home from Bucharest. However, I would highly recommend the Transylvania extension. It is where they take you to see the castle that was the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. And here you see my friend Mandy and I and Vlad the Impaler having a good old time in that castle. And then we had a wonderful dinner that night on the castle grounds. Uh, it was just a fascinating experience. You get to visit the beautiful imperial city of Brasov. Um, I did not know that Romania was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and it had all these beautiful imperial cities. You go into the mountains to an area that in the wintertime is a ski resort, and there you can visit this fabulous Palace Castle. I could have put 17 pictures in the slide and it wouldn't have even covered the artwork that is in that castle. Fascinating experience that day. So here's the pricing for the Danube from Serbia to Romania. Again, it's a significant savings over booking directly with Avalon because I took out my group a while ago. And you can also add that Transylvania extension for just $750 a person. So now we're going to introduce our new itinerary that I think most of y'all came here, so I appreciate your patience. Bordeaux in November of 2025. We are so excited that Avalon has announced the Bordeaux itinerary. It's 7 nights and it's going to visit this wonderful area, which of course is known for its wines and vineyards. So one of the first places you're going to go is the village of Cadillac and nearby Sauternes winery. Uh, you get to taste that famous Sauternes wine, which is made from grapes that have been shriveled by botrytis and turned into like little concentrated raisins of wonderful sweetness. I absolutely love Sauternes. It is my favorite dessert wine. You're also going to, on day 2, you get to visit Medoc, where if you want to do the active excursion, you can do a bike ride through the vineyards, or you can visit a historic chateau where you're going to try some Cabernet Sauvignon and some Merlot.
Wonder where we'll be.
If you are, yeah, if you are into UNESCO World Heritage Sites, you can visit the fortress of or the Citadel of Blaye. which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And or if you're more into art and wine, they have a tour that takes you to an art gallery where you get to do wine tasting and view the art. Very interesting. Saint Emilion might be my favorite place that I visited when I was in Bordeaux in 2017. It is just this wonderful little town. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You're going to hear that a lot when you talk about what Avalon Waterways does. And fabulous, fabulous wines from this area. So super excited to be able to introduce this destination to my clients and bring you all there. The ship kind of it does sort of a spoke and wheel itinerary in that you do go back to the city of Bordeaux quite a few times and overnight dock in Bordeaux. We will get to take a full day tour of Bordeaux, but maybe in one of those nights when we're docked overnight, you might want to go out and have dinner at a 5-star restaurant. Gordon Ramsay has a 5-star restaurant in Bordeaux. There's lots of opportunities to even just go into a local tasting room and taste some of the wines from the local vineyards that we haven't had a chance to visit. On the last day of the cruise, this was actually one of my favorite parts of when we visited Bordeaux in 2017, was we went out to Arcachon Bay and we learned about the sustainable oyster harvest there. And we also saw the beautiful summer homes of the wealthy from the 19th century. I do not eat oysters. I don't eat them cooked. I don't eat them raw. I had the best time when everybody else was eating their oysters. I was having my wine and cheese and crackers. So you do not have to be an oyster fan to enjoy this tour. It's certainly one of the more interesting tours that you can take. So we're so excited about our Bordeaux. We have a promotion going on right now exclusively for our guests. You take $1,250 off the prices that you see below. So those are the prices in the black. I've crossed them out and done the math for you. So you can see the pricing is extremely good for these cruises. And again, like all our groups, you get the free prepaid gratuities on there. So that's another nice benefit that we're able to offer our clients. And there is a limited allocation, but they do have some no single supplement offers on this cruise as well. It doesn't combine with the $1,250 off, but there is a no single supplement offer as well. Okay, so now that we've shared those destinations with you, we're going to share a quick couple slides to show you what makes Avalon the best ships in the business. So we all know that the river ships have to fit through the same locks and under the same bridges. So they're all approximately the same size. But here's the real difference, and you'll see it here with Avalon.
The sweet ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising no matter who you cruise with, but there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens, wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now, let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall, not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space, push the window out, add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults, combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila, you have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
I love that video. I think it really shows the difference. Now, if you look here, I've actually am comparing the typical Avalon cabin with the one that you might see on the leading competitor. This is 150 square feet. This is 185 square feet, and that includes the balcony. You've got 200 square feet, and I have to tell you that makes all the difference. It feels very generously sized for a river ship because they are space constrained because of the size of the locks and the bridges. The full-size bathroom really makes a big difference. You can actually have 2 people in there at the same time, and I don't know any other river ship in a standard cabin where you can have 2 people in the bathroom at the same time. Again, I want to show you that they have this layout on the Alegria in the fixed window lower level cabin, so you get the advantage of that nice layout on that cabin as well. The ships all feature an aft-facing observation lounge. I know that there's some competitors that have suites back here, but this is public space on the Avalon ships, which is a great place to sometimes just sit and watch the river go by. The panorama lounge is up front, beautiful open space. The bar is tucked away in the corner, so it is a very roomy, very open space. That's where you have a lot of your entertainment and the like. There's a gym. You have afternoon snacks, and then of course you have the main dining room. So I'm going to quickly go through this. Debbie and I are going to talk really quickly about the classic and active and discovery excursions. So Debbie, we can go quick as possible through this.
Yes, I'll go as quickly as I can. So with Avalon Waterways, like I said at the beginning, your excursions are already included in the price, and we've got 3 different styles of activities to sort of, go along with how you as a traveler like to go. So classic is always going to be your, highlight city tours. We love those. You're always going to get that option regardless of what type of itinerary you do with us. So classic tour of Budapest, you can see that here. And then we go to the discovery, which is more my jam, which is eating, drinking, painting, all of the hands-on type of activities that you can do to really immerse yourself in that destination. And then once you've eaten and drank your way through the destination, you can do the active excursions as well, hiking up to the Dürnstein Castle like Steve and Suzanne did. We also have e-bikes as well, so that's an option for people like me who don't do very well on bikes. And then we have the dining. So dining is also included with Avalon, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with those snacks throughout the day. We have 1 main dining room that usually seats guests for dinner between 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. So I love having kind of an earlier dinner, so 7 p.m. is perfect. We also have the Sky Grill, so on 7-night itineraries are longer, which all of these are through Suzanne and Steve. If the weather is permitting and it's a beautiful day, we'll open up the top deck, so that we can have a nice barbecue on top. We've got room service, and then a less formal location called our Panorama Bistro that serves more of like tapas style of what's being served for lunch and dinner in the main dining room. So I love doing that. It's much quieter back there, especially if I'm, kind of sweaty from my hike up to Dürnstein Castle. Can do that. And our one of our values is really having fresh food on board the ship and healthy options as well. So we have all these fantastic local produce that we bring on board, and our chefs curate these amazing menus to really bring the destination on board for you to taste as well.
Okay, and I'm just going to share a couple of my pictures. These are some of those wonderful foods that Avalon features, regional specialties. When we came into Bavaria, this was our welcome lunch. Wonderful way to arrive in Bavaria with all these Bavarian specialties. And Debbie, is there a happy hour on that
Yeah,
one?
happy hour. We love happy hours. And that beautiful panorama lounge, the hour prior to dinner, we open up for a complimentary happy hour. We have a specific menu. It's got great cocktails on there like margaritas, old fashions, beers and wines as well that are already included. And then 30 minutes prior to dinner, while you're enjoying your happy hour, our cruise director comes to the Panorama Lounge to do a recap of what we had today and what we can expect the next day.
Right. So now we're going to go back and review our itineraries. So first one we covered was a fabulous Douro itinerary. That's in June of 24. Again, we have limited availability. I mean, there's like 4 cabins available on the whole ship. And I have 3 of them in my inventory specifically. Free prepaid gratuities on that. Steve and I will be on there as your
Not for
onboard
very
host.
long. We're gonna have to give them back pretty soon here.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta sell them quick. Castled vineyards and brews on the Rhine, Moselle, and Maine. Again, wonderful active and discovery experience. All categories are still available on this. We'd love to have you join us for this fabulous itinerary. And then you might want to choose one of the Danube ones. And again, I want to say these are ones we're not escorting, but we do have fabulous discounted group rates on these. So amazing things that you can do on these 2 7-night itineraries on the Danube. We've done them both, and that's why I took groups out on them, because I wanted to have a value proposition for my clients if they wanted to do this. And then finally, Bordeaux. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go back to Bordeaux. So we're going to be going on this cruise. We are escorting it. It's 7-night Bordeaux, and you can come in. We might want to come in early or stay late in Bordeaux. It would be a wonderful experience. We'll probably come in a couple days early just so we can experience the town of Bordeaux ourselves. If you didn't see anything you like here, Avalon does all the rivers of Europe. So there's so many different things you can do. I also want to mention that you can book your air through Avalon. It requires a $300 deposit, additional deposit to secure the air reservation, and it does not have to be paid in full until your final payment. I want to mention also really quickly that Steve and I also specialize in group ocean cruises. We have got multiple itineraries on Celebrity. We've got the Far East, including Japan. We have an expedition on Seabourn to Easter Island. We have got lots of different, we've got fundraising cruises. We have got back-to-back Australia and New Zealand wine cruises. And 26, we're planning an expedition to Antarctica. And in March of 26, we will host another winemaker cruise with Ascension Cellars. So now quickly for our offers, and then we're going to get to questions if anybody has any. Book your next Avalon Waterways cruise with us by February 29th, and you'll receive an additional $50 per person onboard credit for any new Avalon booking just for attending this virtual river cruise event. And there's more. I feel like Billy Mays. We're having a refer a friend program. So if you have an Avalon current booking and you refer somebody to us who books, they need to be either new completely to Avalon or new to my agency. And you, as the referrer, get a $50 onboard credit, and the referee gets a $50 onboard credit for their cabin as well. So, any additional questions? Do I want to keep the screen up? And Steve, you can call
Let's
on
keep it up for
people
now.
to ask questions. Okay.
And if you want, if
All
you have a
right.
question, you'll need to unmute yourself, and then you go ahead and ask.
So we did have a question that came up in the chat that Steve and I double teamed and we got the answer, but I just want to make sure that I don't know if everyone was able to see it, but the question was, what is the dress code for the for dining on Avalon? And it's smart casual. So as long as you don't show up in your swimming trunks or your pajamas, and you've got, you know, you don't need to have a tuxedo or a suit or anything like that. Just anything that's kind of smart casual. Basically what almost every one of us on this call is wearing at the moment. You can show up into the dining room and enjoy your dinner.
Yeah, that's good. That's one of the things I love about river cruising is because it is so casual. You are so busy during the day. It's not like a ocean cruise where you have a full sea day. You can take a nap all day and then 4 o'clock take your shower and get ready for formal night. You're busy during the day, seeing everything, being immersed in that destination. So it's kind of a relief that you don't have to get dressed up for dinner. Do we have any other questions about the groups, about the itineraries?
No, Suzanne, I think you just did such an amazing job. Everyone
Well,
here is going to get tested after this,
yes,
and
there's a quiz.
to make sure that we're all A+ students.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for attending our virtual cruise night. I think we've already covered all the questions. Again, I want to
And we'll
thank
get
you so
a,
much for coming.
we did, as you probably heard at the beginning, we did record this webinar, so we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch it again if there's specific sections you want to see again, or if you want to share it with some of your friends and family. So
Yeah, that's
get them
it's
to come
one
around so you can get that
wonderful way
referral bonus.
Exactly. And like I said, I know I zipped through everything very quickly. I am happy to do a one-on-one consultation with you, or even our own Zoom session, so I can go slowly through the section of the presentation that maybe I zipped a little too fast through this time.
Hey,
Well,
we'll have a
again,
race
I'm
to
going
see
to.
who's the first one to book Bordeaux with us.
Oh yeah.
I
We
think
just
it's
took
going to
that
be
group out
Abby
a
and
week ago.
Janice.
So again, thank you so much for coming. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording. And thank you.